Hi, welcome back to Cambridge Inside Out. I'm still Judy Nathans.
And I'm Robert Winters, but just for today.
Oh, what are you going to be tomorrow?
I don't know.
Okay.
So,
All right. So we kind of talked about some dates of things coming up. So check your
yeah,
calendars.
things coming up.
And,
Be a good little citizen.
and I know you mentioned the old time baseball.
Yeah, let's
game.
just mention
All
that
right.
right off the bat here,
Okay.
okay? So if you're here's a nice little double header for you. I'm going to try and make it a triple header. Okay.
Well.
So
yeah,
I think
okay.
it's at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
This
Meet in
Thursday.
Lafayette Square. It's sponsored
Lafayette
by
Square.
Central Square Business Association.
Right. So that would be August 16th.
Right.
Um,
Thursday at 5.
If
It's
you
a
meet at
mural
Lafayette
walk.
Square, which
Right.
is right
Right
across the
over
street from CCTV, and there's a mural walk. You know, because Central Square Business Association is planning some nice things.
Is it potential murals or existing murals? Because I
I
wasn't
think
clear on.
a little bit of both. I
okay.
think,
So
but I
it's-
don't know.
And then you end up at
But
IDO.
you know, the really
Yeah.
hideous graffiti that's actually on top of Morris Nagar's building.
Oh, you want to show that again?
We can actually show it. Yeah. There we go. Right, that, which some people say
Ugly.
is Sims. I still think it says 54M5.
I think you're right. I always just saw it as Sims, like an old
Yeah.
department store, and I said, no, could
Right.
be.
So
Okay.
anyway, I think that there's some arrangement to have a really
Oh,
nice
cool.
mural go over that.
Cool.
So Morris Nagar has delightfully agreed to
Wonderful.
allow that to
Okay.
happen. I don't know what they're planning to do, but I actually was seeing some murals.
Well, we'll probably go down Graffiti Alley.
You know what I want to paint on that? I want to see a
Oh.
beautiful bird taking flight.
All right.
That's what I want to say there.
Hmm.
So if anybody's out there watching who can do these big murals while dangling like the Mount Rushmore artist from the top of a building while you do your art.
But you walk and end up, they're having food trucks and music, I guess, at IDO, which
IDO,
is that
which is on
very
Prospect
colorful building, diagonally across from Whole Foods.
Exactly, right.
The old Carberries.
Right, so that's starting at 5, so then they're having some gathering down there.
No, it's not the old
around
Carberries, sorry.
Right, it's near the old Carberries,
Right, 'cause that's
which
now
became
a-
Lindell's, which is now,
Partners Urgent Care or
yeah,
something?
yeah. Before it was Carberries, it was also where
Oh.
I bought my tiles. Some of which I actually put up
I
on my
thought that-
bathroom wall, and
Oh,
some of
you're
which are
right.
still
Oh,
sitting
that's
in the
funny.
box 30
That's
years
funny.
later.
Oh, my
He
goodness.
says with no pride in particular.
All right.
Right. No, I'm getting around to it. I swear. I'll do it.
So that was supposed to go from 6 to whatever. So you could do both. You could
right.
go to the
so
baseball
that's like
game.
at 6. Now
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that.
I don't think I'm
but-
gonna stick around that because
yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
will,
go
but
for
you
the
can go to the game.
the second of my triple headers. I'm gonna go up to Patty's lunch.
Oh, right.
Have
Well,
a beer.
so you're going to leave at 6?
I'm gonna try and get up there and then have a beer over at Patty's and then
And then
go
walk
over a block away over to
Because the game
St.
goes
Peter's
on
Field.
for a while. Yeah, right.
Old time baseball
Right.
game. You know, they do the introductions and whatever, and you know, and it's like they've been doing it for like a couple decades.
Tim Wakefield, Lou Merlone. Does he always
Ray
show
Bork
up?
from
And Ray
Hockey
Bork
fame.
from the hockey fan. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
so-
I'm going to pass this year.
Yeah,
That's all right.
but you know, I always enjoy myself a
Yeah,
lot.
I went last year.
Play by play
It
is
was
done.
Pedro last year. That's why I went.
And the scorekeeper is Glenn Kuchar, former
Oh.
host, originator of the original Cambridge Inside Out.
And Steve Buckley, does he talk? I know
Steve-
he sponsors it, but I don't think
A
he
little
talks.
bit. You know, Steve Buckley is more of a behind the scenes guy, but
Yeah.
this is his thing. This is what
Yes.
Steve Buckley puts together.
Well, maybe I'll go. I don't think
And
so. We'll see.
well, you can just wander in a little later too.
Well,
So anyway, so that's this Thursday, and it's always a good time, and a lot of people bring blankets and lawn chairs.
and I
they
think the
sit
weather,
out
it's
there.
going to be hot and sticky, but not rainy.
If it's not rainy, it'd be really great. So.
Yeah, I don't think there's any rain.
So
but I don't
anyway,
know.
I always enjoy it. Even
that's
you know,
Thursday
and,
night.
and honestly, half the fun is there's the ball game, sure, but there's also just meeting and greeting everybody.
Yeah, and bring something to sit on,
Yeah.
by the way, because it's just
Right.
limited bleachers.
And they have
there.
auctions and everything. You
Oh,
know,
and
so
good
you can
food.
actually.
Well,
you
I don't
know,
know, it's good. It's
they have
you know,
raffles.
and they have
and
groups
whatever.
that make money from the food.
There's a
like
guy. There's
organizations.
the Babe Ruth lookalike who shows up every year.
Oh
And
no!
people take
really?
photos of with
Oh, I
him.
don't know
yeah.
about that.
Oh yeah. No, it's just.
Well, now I'm
it's,
thinking
it's
maybe I
corny
should
in a
go
way,
over
but it's
there.
great in
Okay.
every other way.
All right.
You know?
Well, maybe.
So anyway, if you're around, do it. It's one
I'd have to
one of the best
drive.
things.
Quickest
So-
way.
So anyway, that's old time baseball game, etc.
Okay.
So let's see what else going on around town.
Well,
surveillance.
public surveillance.
Okay, so that was today. Public Safety
no,
Committee.
no, it was
No, it
yesterday
was
at
ordinance.
5:30. It
That's
was an
right.
ordinance committee meeting, and I couldn't go, but I caught it later. Thank goodness it was televised in
Right.
video. I caught the rest today, and It was interesting. There was, about the ordinance, if you looked at the final,
You know what I remember
yeah.
when the original write-up of the proposed ordinance came in,
April
to me it looked like
17th?
gibberish,
Oh, yeah.
and then it got worked a bit. I
Yes,
think city
there's
staff
been two meetings,
refined
like
it.
April 17th and then June
Yeah.
25th. And since then, lawyers have looked at it, and particularly they've met with the ACLU. So they spoke
Right.
first, Cade Crocker,
Cade
Cade
Crocker?
Crocker, who's also very involved in the municipal broadband type stuff.
Yeah.
She was, anyway, she spoke, and they have 4 amendments that they asked to be included, which the council just got that day, I guess.
Okay.
And then the mayor, Mark McGovern, his office had 2, basically one changing the language to be gender neutral,
All right.
and then the second was, the suing of individuals for invasion of privacy. In other words, that was controversial, because if you look at the draft language, this is what the city wants to change. I mean, the ACLU wants an individual who feels like their privacy to be able to sue city councilors. That's how I read it, yeah. So the first reaction, Nancy Glauis, I'm pretty sure she said it because of our charter thing. You couldn't do that anyway, because they don't
Right.
have the, I'm getting things confused. The city council doesn't have the authority to actually, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to back up. You need to look at the language,
Yeah.
but basically they wanted to get rid of that. Or McGovern said, no, that's not. We can't say individuals. Or do you mean group?
Yeah, I mean, personal liability like
personal
that is
liability,
something.
right?
It's sort of like,
It had nothing to do with the form of government.
listen,
Right? It was
I
just,
serve on a nonprofit, a board of a nonprofit. It's a historic preservation group up in Billerica, and for that particular group, if there was a problem, like we own a piece of a dam, if there was a dam failure and there was some terrible thing, I mean, because we were incorporated, there's a certain amount of, you're not personally liability. The
because you're
corporation
incorporated,
would be,
right? But a city, I don't know how.
Right. So the thing is,
city.
you're right. So maybe the city council is obviously not incorporated, but the thing
Right.
is, they act as a public body, and I think
But the
they're
city, I guess, as a whole could be sued. I don't know,
potentially
for violating the ordinance.
Yeah.
It had to
Maybe,
be. That's
yeah.
one of the issues they have to deal
Right.
with.
But the one issue I think you were touching on there is
Yeah.
that people need to understand that's the way the government is formed here, right?
Right, because that
So the thing is that
authority,
the
who
police
yeah.
officers and detectives and everything, and other departments in addition to the police, they work for the city manager, right?
Okay, who is
And then the city
appointed
manager
by
is
the
appointed by the city
City
council.
council.
But the thing is that there is a prohibition against the city council from bypassing the city manager and directing
because of
anything.
Plan B
Plan,
or
Plan E. Plan E charter. It's actually, I mean, it was largely written in order to protect against like problems with political patronage.
Yeah.
In other words, if I'm a city councilor and I just I bypass the city manager and they say, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Police Commissioner, I want you to put my friend Jimmy on the police force.
Couldn't that happen in a mayor elected system too? Patronage? I mean,
Yes, it
Mayor
could
Curley
and does. It does.
so
Right. I mean,
that
listen,
isn't a
and let's,
solution.
let's not kid ourselves. You say,
Yeah.
could that happen under Plan E? Of course it could. But,
Well, true.
but
right.
the thing is that,
Yes.
but if a
Those
city
developers, those evil developers, giving money.
but
to
if the
council.
city councilor actually bypasses the manager and strong arms a city department head and say you gotta hire this man or else,
Yeah,
or
he's
there'll
in
be
trouble.
consequences, that is a felony.
But who would report that? Who would know
Well,
that?
that's the issue. Okay, but the thing is
Yeah.
that if it was witnessed,
Yeah.
and if the city wanted to pursue it, in fact, then the city council would be guilty of a felony. Okay, and I'm only mentioning that not to scare anybody, but just to point out that the thing is there are by design these brick walls
Yeah.
that are put in under the charter,
Firewalls. Let's use that.
to
That's a good one today.
prevent the city councilor from jumping over and strong arming people in city
So the city
departments.
council can appoint the city manager, and what's their other thing that they can do?
Technically, there's only 3, but there's
Right.
really 4.
Okay, so
So
appoint
it's
a
the city manager,
as
the
final
ci-
decision about a city manager,
that's
right?
it.
Okay,
The city auditor,
Auditor,
even though the
okay.
auditor primarily by tradition now works mainly with the finance department. But the
The
city
same thing.
auditor, who's Jim McMonigal, Jim will be there when they're doing the budget hearings, and in
Okay.
principle at least, you know, he works for the city council, so
I
he has
see.
to sort of check everything.
Okay.
You know, now in this days of computers and everything in Excel
Right.
spreadsheets,
So there usually
whatever,
isn't
there's
any
probably not that much
controversy
need,
over
right.
that position? or-
Right, so he primarily works, but he technically is an appointee of the city
And
council.
what's the third and fourth?
The city clerk. Now the fourth is, and really maybe there's even a fifth, right? There's and then actually maybe a few more now, right?
Wait a minute.
You know, we're sort of, you know, we're kind of graying the boundaries here.
I guess because they stay in their position so long, you don't
Well,
realize it.
so
maybe.
so Donna Clerk,
Donna Clerk.
Lopez. Sorry, Donna. Donna Lopez, you're such a phenomenal city
You're
clerk
just-
that
your name has
you've
been changed to
merged
clerk,
with the name.
right.
So Donna Lopez is the city clerk, but the deputy city clerk, and Donna was deputy for years.
Okay.
But the deputy city clerk also appears to get hired.
Oh, was it Paula?
Paula Crane is now in that role,
Oh, okay.
right? I think, is the deputy city manager approved by the city council? Not really.
No, isn't she appointed by the city? No?
Hired by the city manager, right?
That's Lisa Peterson.
Yeah. But the thing is now there's a staff person who runs the city council office is hired by the manager. But let's face it, you know that the city manager is not going to put somebody in there over the head of the city council. So they have a little strong influence in that one, I'm sure.
So there's a staff person for
And
all
also
of
the city council
city-
chooses their own aides,
Right, they have power to do that.
but really no, they don't really. What
No?
they have to do then is recommend that I would like the city manager to hire, who then of course will do it.
Do
But,
do they ever not? I mean, is it courtesy just to hire?
you know, it's
people?
never been tested. You know, when back 15 plus years ago, when the city council aide positions were first created, there was,
15 years ago?
yeah, about that.
And
about
they were $20,000
2003.
probably back then. And
Yeah,
part-time, and now they're
and they were
almost
called
50
research
plus
assistants
benefits.
at
Yeah,
the
right,
time.
sure.
So this is like, you know,
Oh, okay.
Plan E slowly but surely gets crept into, right?
Can I ask, does the staff person for the city council have any, do they have meetings with the aides? I mean, it seems to me there should be some
The way-
coordination there.
The way it has been,
Yeah.
so when Sandy Ivana was in that position for
That's
for
what I was
years,
trying to think of. who-
Sandy kind of was sort of mother hen to the
Right.
aides, so you had to report to Sandy.
I would think that would be
Yeah.
helpful.
That is helpful.
Well, it's accountability too.
Yes. Well, the thing is that's who approves your timesheets and whatever.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it's done. So
So it is done that way.
right. So but technically it's just the three positions: manager, clerk, auditor. Right. That's
Okay.
it. Right. Now, but of course, we began the discussion talking about surveillance ordinance because
Right.
now, if you have an ordinance
Oh,
where,
right.
in fact, the police commissioner, based on and the police department staff, based on great wisdom, we hope, decide that they need to use a certain kind of technology,
Right.
right, which arguably might be viewed as
Something new
surveillance.
that hasn't been used, that this ordinance
Right.
would ask that it be presented. They have the right to, well,
Well, the thing is
Let's
that
see.
there's the dilemma. If
well,
this,
no, they do, I
if the
think,
city council, should they have veto power over things like this? Because if
it depends
if
on what's the word, exigent circumstances?
right.
Exigent
Yeah.
circumstances.
So so the thing is, if there's like a situation, let's say we're in the middle of a real situation, like the marathon bombing or something, and the police department feel they in this situation have to act in a particular way, you know, then I
It
suppose the
overrides that.
manager
I
could
think-
say, well, I don't know about that because they do work for the city manager.
Right,
They certainly don't have a free hand to do whatever the hell they please.
right, but I
But the
think.
thing is that
Yeah.
it's not like the police commissioner should or will be required to get approval of a city council for every decision he makes.
Yeah, let's see,
So-
issue of informing the city council
Informing is
of
one thing.
the time period. Emergency acquisition versus put a time limit of 90, Zondervan's and put a time limit of 90 days. Something like, if they needed this something right away, what's the
Right. So the thing
recording
is,
of
is
it?
that
Yeah.
so the proper role of the Cambridge City Council is as a policy making body. You might not believe that sometimes to watch them in action, but that's what they're supposed to be doing. And arguably, a policy about level of surveillance or public
Right.
intrusion or potential infringement of civil rights, that is a policy area. So
Right.
the city council obviously should have some say in that. And does that rise to the level where they should have say-so to say what equipment you're allowed to use or not?
No, then that's where it got into the Plan E thing, because
Yeah.
that gets into operations, and that's not
Gets
their
into operations.
responsibility, and that's
So
the
if the city
manager,
council wants to
right?
pass a policy that says,
Yeah.
thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do like here,
Then it can be
but it's not
referred-
specific to
Yeah,
this, and then the police commissioner says, okay, that was ordained, it's an city ordinance or whatever, then I guess they have to sort of, be in sync with the policy. I mean, probably the simplest example of this is, so the Cambridge was a recipient of some cameras
oh, right, yeah.
that were in fact installed on some tall buildings
This is
along
back
major corridors.
from Homeland Security.
So this was several years back, and
I think
many of
that's
us
how
thought
all
it was
this
a good
came
thing.
about, right?
I think
Okay.
it's kind of like, that was kind of
Instigated
the
the-
first
yeah.
shot across the bow.
Right,
But the thing is that cameras were installed and they were never allowed to be turned on because the city council took a vote that said that they didn't want to be
are
turned
they
on.
still out there?
I believe they're still mounted and they've never been switched on.
Yeah, we don't know where they are.
You can see some of them. You just look up. But
That came up, I guess, in reference to where things would be, and that you really couldn't let people
Right.
know, because then it defeats the purpose of maybe
Right.
watching an area.
I mean, this goes back
Yeah.
quite a while. I remember Marjorie Decker was still on the council when this issue was
Right.
really heating up. And the biggest concern from Marjorie at the time, and others, not just Marjorie, was something that he called the fusion center. Sounds very like physics, right? So the idea is that you gather data and then it gets uploaded to some central data bank somewhere.
Right,
And
And
then
who's
there's
looking
some
at it, how-
mega
yeah.
software who's doing massive facial recognition
Yeah.
things, and then they're
like China.
basically
Yeah.
tracking everybody. But
That was brought up, because China, she had a photo of that, it was,
right.
we know that.
And if
they-
you actually,
yeah.
if you look at what's been in the news, was it like a week or two ago,
What?
where several
Oh.
members they actually ran some whose software was it? Microsoft or Google software? They
Oh.
ran against the
Oh, right,
the Congress,
Microsoft.
the United States Congress.
Yeah, they found,
And they
yeah,
found
it's
like, is
crazy.
it Chuck Schumer was, implicated? I think, I don't know, was Bernie Sanders implicated? I don't know.
In what? What do you mean?
Well, nobody's really implicated, but
What are you
basically
talking about?
they got ID'd as being kind
Oh.
of suspicious and maybe
Oh,
a
oh,
possible match to
right.
some list of criminals.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
yeah, and then as I pointed out to you, which is sort of kind of related, in the Globe today, Google tracks even when you tell it not to. So, we can do all this, but meanwhile, your phone that's in your pocket, you can't even turn off where it is. So,
Right. That's actually been the greatest comedy for me, is that some of the loudest voices
Yes.
who are
I
concerned
know,
about
are
surveillance
carrying
and
around
technology
these super data computers.
are
in
basically
their-
being tracked
I know.
like,
By everything. I
24
mean, every time
hours
you
a
use an
day.
app, I mean, you have
Yeah.
to really
Oh,
diligently
yeah, yeah.
encrypt it. I mean, people are really into this, know how to do that, but most
Right.
of us don't.
So it's so there's a legitimate issue, like what balance do you want to
And
maintain?
then I brought up to you about the CCTVs in London.
Right,
Or
which is
in
not
Britain.
us, CCTV.
No,
but
it's what is it again?
closed circuit television.
Right.
Yeah,
It's if
yeah.
you watch British mysteries or dramas or the anything, the first thing that detectives will ask is there CCTV footage? 'Cause that's how they track
That's
down
not
things.
us.
And apparently Britain, which is the land, I mean, that's where we came from. I mean,
Yeah,
they don't, they accept this.
I didn't come
I-
from Britain.
Well, you know what I mean. Our democracy,
Irish
whatever.
and German with a little bit of
they're
French, thank you.
They consider themselves. Be quiet.
Right.
Anyway, it's a big issue.
I think it's
and-
an issue, and I'm.
But a
I'm
lot of it, I
hopefully
think the main
resolving it.
criticism was that it was not specific enough, the ordinance.
Right.
the-
And
the
I'll give
commenters,
credit
yeah.
to Nancy Glowa and the city law department for
Yeah, and they're gonna keep working on it.
checking and making
Yes.
sure that things are done right.
Right,
So that the
it,
policymakers can make the policy, the police can have
Right.
enough flexibility.
I need to correct
to do their
myself with
job.
something, about Mark, I was looking at the wrong note. Mark's, his was one about the gender language, the other one was, it was not the suing, although that came up, it was, where is it? Oh, the enforcement on whistleblowers. Something about, what happens to whistleblowers, and how are they protected? And I forget how he
Right.
wants to change it, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there'll be a nice report based on this, because they're gonna include all the emails they got, they're gonna include Richard Stallman's very lengthy email, they're gonna include the public commenters, there are about four of them, that had some very good suggestions, and plus the hearing itself. So I'm sure they'll try to get that out soon.
Yeah, oh yeah, so, just in case
Yeah.
I forget, we did mention sort of briefly in the last half hour, that there are several city boards and commissions that have vacancies, and I'm sure there'll be more, that'll be announced pretty soon. It's just that you wouldn't know about it because we're still on vacation for this Cambridge City Council. So we'll
long
find out
time.
in
Another
mid-September about any new appointments and
Literally
as
another
well
month.
as any new vacancies. Actually, the city puts out a request for applications
So it's on the
whenever
website?
they want to move on it. But I know there are some vacancies on some ones, so.
Which ones?
Well, right now, I think the ones, just to mention kind of quick here, is that, well, we mentioned one is not a city manager. Most of these are city manager appointed. He's the appointing authority. But the mayor traditionally appoints what they sometimes call blue ribbon committees for various topics. I've actually
Okay.
served, Mayor Vellucci, Al Vellucci appointed me to a water sewer advisory
God,
committee
he's
back
not
in
even alive anymore, is he?
1987.
Yeah.
Back then in Stone Age. So, but anyway, so the Mayor McGovern has created this Mayor's Arts Task
Oh,
Force.
yeah, here
It's
it is, yeah.
chaired by Samul
Alana
Siddiqui.
Mullen?
Actually,
No.
let's take that.
No, it's
Alana,
Alana
oh,
Mullen.
excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alana Mallon, and in addition to, so if you're interested in those kinds
Right.
of topics,
It's right up
please apply.
Yes.
There's also the Human Services Commission, which is a little bit more of a mystery to most because it's a little off the mark. But there are a lot of Department of Human Services programs is actually one of the biggest departments in the city. It includes things, even the recreation department, right? Running a lot of leagues and things. So there's a commission that actually deals with human services.
Okay, that's September 7th.
And if you have an interest in
yeah.
that, maybe a social worker
Yeah.
here and there, you might want to look into that possibility.
Second Thursday of each month from 5:30 to 7:30. The description's in there if you just look at the.
That's right. That's
and then
right.
there's the Conservation Commission.
There's the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission,
Whoops.
right? Which
That's right here.
yeah, I'm not quite sure
And
what that
how
is.
long do they hold 2 regularly scheduled public meetings each month. So that's
Right.
2 a month. That's permit applications under the WPA.
Right, and there have been people who are actually experts in things like wetlands and
This
and
sounds like more like
law.
a planning board thing,
Right.
almost, the responsibilities, yeah?
It's actually they have some binding authority. That most of the cities boards and commissions don't have particular binding authority.
one
They're more
does.
advisory, but this is definitely one that has
They
some
want
authority.
residents with expertise they desire.
Right.
in
I mean, they have to
landscape
act within the
architecture,
law.
civil environmental engineering, hydrology, ecology, or law
Yeah, I
are
mean, so
encouraged to reply.
It is typically
Yeah.
a sort of an expert panel.
Sure.
Right, and then there's a commission that was actually appointed, was created quite a few years
This one,
ago.
the immigrant.
Yeah, it was one commission for immigrants' rights and citizenships.
Mm-hmm.
So that was created a long time ago, and it sat unappointed for years.
Wow.
And then
Until
finally,
Trump got
relatively
Yeah.
recently, especially in light of
Yeah.
some of the controversies, it was
Right.
impaneled, and now there are vacancies, and they're actually looking for additional people.
And that
to
deadline's
include.
sooner. That's
August
a week from this
24th.
Friday.
That's right. So that's coming up real soon.
But wait a minute, this is important. The deadline to register, I think, is tomorrow.
Oh,
Isn't
yeah.
it? August
Yeah.
15th.
Actually,
So
let's
let's.
mention it right here. So the
yeah,
thing is
yeah,
so
yeah.
for those people who like to vote, which is all of you,
In the primary. This
In
is
the primary.
specifically September 4th.
Right.
Very important primary for lots
right?
of things.
And by the way, and I should mention here that it's not just a matter of being registered to vote. It's also if you happen to be registered for a particular political party, but you want to vote in the other primary. Probably not too many people doing
Yeah.
that right now, but
Yeah.
for example, if you were registered to vote in the Green Party and then you showed up because you wanted to vote in the Democratic primary, you wouldn't be able to, right? So many people just choose to be unenrolled, which gives you the option under Massachusetts law to
Oh, wait a
pick
minute.
whichever ballot you
You can
want.
do it online? Look at this. It says the Office of the Secretary of State has developed an online voter registration system.
Yeah,
At-
yeah.
So to submit, you can still do it. Update their. Okay, so that's new, isn't it?
All right. I'm not sure, but the thing is that it's up
Wow.
till tomorrow. Tomorrow
Yeah,
evening
please.
is
Yeah.
the
So
deadline to do that.
you really need to do
Yeah.
that. I'm just trying
Right.
to go to that
So-
site. Look
So
at that.
anyway, so that's coming up, and then of course we have the elections coming up September 4th.
Okay.
You know, and I don't think we need to sort of go over who all those candidates are in there, but there are some real
Well,
competitions that are happening.
for me, does that cover your, no, Mike Capion is not in your district.
I'm right. I'm in the
But
Kathleen
I
Clark
think I
district.
sent you, I was surprised at the, it's 700 and something thousand residents, and I don't know how many are registered.
Right.
But it's quite large, and it's a lot
Yeah.
of North Cambridge, which I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a very
It's
very
definitely
long
Riverside, Cambridgeport.
gerrymander of a district.
And I've listened to 2 debates now. WBUR had a live one, but you can get it on their website. And the first one was WCVB, and then tomorrow night, Jim Browdy on his show, Greater Boston, is having a debate, which will then probably be on WGBH.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I suggest you listen to
So
them.
the big
They're,
matchups, if
yeah.
you're a Democrat, I don't even know what the Republicans
Well,
are, but it's,
Ayanna Presley and
But
Mike
I'll just sort of
Capiano,
wrap-
but yeah,
so there's Marianne Ryan and Donna
Oh, this is the
Catalano
district
for
attorney
district attorney,
for Middlesex
right?
County,
So
right?
yeah, so if you're interested in that one, look it
Yeah.
up. Bill Galvin versus Josh Zakem,
That's statewide.
statewide for
yeah.
Secretary of State.
Mhm.
And the Democratic primary is Jay Gonzalez versus Bob Massey for the Democratic
Oh, right,
nominee
yeah.
for governor.
I guess I forgot.
Mike Capuano versus Ayanna Presley for
And that's getting a
the
lot of press because
congressional
people are
district.
comparing it to Alexandra.
But
know,
I think that's
yeah.
kind of strategically be done to sort of grab
I
a
know,
little
but
bit
it
of
really
the
is
wind in
so
the sails.
different, I think.
It's completely
And
different,
people,
but
again, I need to
it's
stress,
politics.
very interesting person, but she got 11% of people voted
Yeah.
in that election. She won by
It's not-
3,000 votes
yeah,
out of 27,000
I know,
cast.
I know. So people, but you know, politics is all about perception.
And Mike Capion is not taking anything for granted.
Not treating
And
that,
he
you
is
bet.
working hard, and I personally do like him, and I think Ayanna
Yeah.
Presley is impressive.
So the last one is Jimmy Tingle versus Quentin Palfrey
right.
for
Jeez.
lieutenant
I've never heard
governor.
of it, yeah.
So
All
anyway,
right,
we're out of time.
So register if you haven't registered.
See you next week.
Bye.